The housing market is ice cold here in December of 2025. Closed sales have plummeted year over year, yet at the same time, there are more properties on the market compared to this time last year, and more listings are hitting the market compared to this time last year. Now, so far, we're not seeing a drop in median sales price, so the housing market isn't crashing, but things are moving very slowly. Now, this is December, which is the slowest time of the year, but the housing market has officially shifted. It's no longer a seller's market. It's now what I would consider a balanced market where neither the buyer nor the seller has the advantage. We've been in this shifting market from a seller's market towards a buyer's market for the past 2 years or so. We finally arrived at a balanced market. And we're going to dive deep into the data so you know exactly what's going on. And this is really important for you to understand, because if you're still operating as if we're in the same market as a year ago or 2 years ago, then you are going to be at a disadvantage over your competition. But instead, we're going to give you the stats so you understand what's going on in the housing market and give you that advantage over the other buyers and sellers who are out there in the market. But before we get into it, my name's Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor here in Vermont with Jerry Riley Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs, reach out to me directly. I would be happy to help you. All of my contact information is in the description down below. Okay, now let's jump over into the data here. Okay, so we're jumping into the data now, and what we're looking at here is the median sales price for single-family homes across the state of Vermont. As a reminder, we don't include condos in the statewide data because we don't want to include the ski condos that have more of a seasonal dynamic and can influence what's going on in the year-round housing market across the state. So we see here, median sales price is up 2.4% year over year. Now it's up, but it's not up in a drastic way. We're still between 400 and 425, which is where we have been for the past year or so. So not a huge increase, not a huge decrease, really nothing to note there. But what I do want to touch on, and what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is closed sales. Take a look at these closed sales numbers, down 7.3% compared to last year. Fewer transactions are closing here in the state as of November of 2025, which is the most recent data that we have. Now, when we take a look at pending sales, it seems to show the opposite story. Pending sales are up year over year across the state of Vermont. Now, when we jump over to the Chittenden County data, you'll see things are a little bit different. Pending sales are actually exactly flat compared to November of 2025. And this is really important because when we take a look at the active inventory across the market, both in the state and in Chittenden County, you'll see that there are more homes on the market compared to this time last year. Now, pending sales across the state, this tells me one of two things. Either there will be more closings in December and January compared to this time last year, or there are more properties falling out of contract. Now, me personally, I've had more deals fall out of contract this year than I've had in any other year that I've been in the business, but that's just my subjective experience. I've spoken with realtors who haven't had a single deal fall through this year. So we'll see. It's tough to know exactly what's going on. I will say that on a national basis, the housing market is setting records for more canceled contracts in 2025 compared to any year past. So there are more properties falling out of contracts nationally, and we may be seeing that show up in the statewide data here in Vermont. Now, we take a look at active inventory. The active inventory numbers show that we're about 70% above where we were compared to this time last year. So if you're a seller out there, there's more competition for you on the market. There's more homes that you're competing with. Significantly more homes, over 200 more homes, about 250 more homes on the market compared to November of 2024. New listings tell the same story. There are more new listings this year compared to last year, up about 10% year over year. So much more inventory, many more homes hitting the market. And that's causing this whole market to shift compared to where it was last year. Now, when we jump over here to days on market, now days on market has actually increased as well. And days on market, that's not what we want to look at here. It's the days to contract that I really care about. This is the amount of time it takes a listing to get an offer, to get a signed offer and go under contract. You can see that's up almost 15% compared to last year. Now that translates to about 4 days, but we're getting close to the pre-pandemic levels. Now, pre-pandemic levels in the winter tended to be a bit higher. We do see that reflected in last year's data as well. But really, what this is showing is continued shift towards that balanced market. And I believe we've officially arrived there. When we take a look at the active inventory one more time, we'll see that again, inventory is building year over year heading into the spring market. So we will see inventory drop as we move into the winter months. This is the slowest time of year for real estate. But when that rebound happens, we're going to be starting from a higher level than we were last year. It's going to be really interesting to see how the market shifts and how the market reacts in the spring selling season. Now, we're already seeing the market react with the amount of properties selling for over list price. The percentage of list price received is about 94% here across the state. I know Chittenden County is a little bit higher. It's closer to 97%, but that's over a 6% discount on the original list price. Now, that could be through a price reduction and then selling for around where that new home is listed at, or it could be from negotiating that number down. But either way, sellers are moving from that number that they're originally listed at. Price your property appropriately, but beware that you'll likely have to negotiate in order to get that property under contract and sold. We take a look at the number of properties selling for over list price. Where is that? Percentage closed above list price right here. 20%. So 1 in 5 homes are selling for over list price. 80% of properties are selling for list price or below. Now we take a look at the Chittenden County data here. Median sales price, again, minus 4.3% year over year, but we've been floating between 475 and 550 for a couple of years now. Not a huge increase, not a huge decrease, nothing really notable in this median sales price data. Closed sales, they're also down year over year. So fewer closed sales, but remember how I mentioned the pending sales here in Chittenden County, they're flat compared to this time last year. New pending sales are exactly even compared to November of 2024. And that's really important to note because active inventory is way up. 50% more homes on the market compared to this time last year. That is significant here in Chittenden County. There are more sellers on the market and the exact same amount of properties going under contract. So new listings are up as well, which just adds to this inventory. And again, it creates this interesting dynamic as we move towards the spring market where we have more homes hitting the market, more properties on the market. And then when spring comes around and everyone starts listing their properties again, we're going to be flooded with inventory. This balanced market, I think it's here to stay at least through 2026. So what does that mean for you as a home buyer or a home seller out there? Well, if you're a home buyer, you can be patient and pick the property that you're interested in. Now, if it's the perfect property, and this goes for you sellers out there too, if you have a really well-maintained property, well updated, and you priced appropriately, you're still likely to be part of that 20% or 25% here in Chittenden County to get more than list price, to get multiple offers. But if you have a property that's similar to the comparable homes out there, that's similar to what buyers can find in other parts of the market, then you might sit on the market for a few weeks, a few months before getting that first offer or that second offer that you're actually able to get under contract, get to closing. So be patient, whether you're a buyer or a seller out there. If you're a buyer, be patient, find the property that works right for you. There are more options and there will be more options as we move to the spring market. Now, if you're a seller out there, be patient and know that the property is not likely to sell within that first weekend. It's likely to take a few weeks or a few months before the right buyer comes around to purchase your home. And that's okay. That's how the market is supposed to operate. It's not this crazy market that we've had for the past 5 years anymore. We're in a balanced market. It's going to take time. You're going to find that right buyer, but it's going to take some time and some effort on your realtor's part to market it, to do the open houses, to get people in the door and find the person that will purchase your home. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And of course, if you have any real estate needs, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, all my contact information is in the description. I would be happy to help you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.